All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending today's final presentation of our Science Online Connected conference. I'm so excited to speak with you today. I'm hoping I can turn my video on to take a look at everyone, but if not, that's okay. My name is Mark Fuller. I'm the Product Marketing Director at Labster, and I want to speak a little bit about what we're able to do at Labster, what we have been able to do rather in the last year, the last 10, 11 months or so, and then what's coming in the future a little bit. What can we look forward to? How are we trying to innovate? How are we trying to build tools that help all of you? You heard Dr. Rabowski in today's keynote presentation talking about how can we increase the number of students who succeed in science? How can we perhaps move away from this mentality of having weed out courses in the sciences, especially undergraduate levels in the first couple of years, and perhaps create a culture of success, a culture where we really make it more inclusive in undergraduate education for different types of students who might be interested in biology, chemistry, physics, other topics, but today don't feel like they're necessarily a part of that path. So if we take a look at what we have, I'm just going to move past my video here. I want to talk a little bit about what is coming in the coming months at Labster. And obviously, let's start here. The world has changed in the past couple of years. Obviously, work life has changed. Home life, at least for many of us, has changed. But education is absolutely central to that. What we see in this photo here is certainly something that hopefully is happening on more and more campuses, but in a lot of places, actually, the lack of social distancing still makes me a little reflexively nervous when I see this sort of thing. But we need to create solutions, education solutions, different teaching approaches that fit in this new world. And we're living in a hybrid world. Computers are not going away as part of what we roll out to our students in terms of educating them, reaching out to them, involving them in different types of topics and materials. And at Labster, what we're trying to build is a holistic solution that acts almost as a virtual science campus that can sit on top of your physical campus, because that's really the reality that we're operating in right now. Even if you teach exclusively in person, hopefully these days you're back on campus or back in the classroom, wherever you may be in the world. This isn't going away, right? And we need to find new ways to adapt to this reality and to reach more students. Enrollments are a big concern. Faculty stress and time and teacher burnout are a big concern. How can we make all of this a little bit easier to navigate? Hopefully using different types of teaching materials and teaching approaches. So just bear with me one moment. I'm going to begin today. You heard from, I think it was maybe 15 or 16 different educators as part of today's conference from 7 different countries. Labster has dozens of case studies and peer reviews and webinar recordings on our website and in various channels to help provide advice for how to teach with Labster, different ways you can integrate virtual lab simulations and other types of tools into your class. But what I wanted to do today was have a little bit of fun, create maybe some composite characters, and just based on the things that we hear, based on what we hear from you all, from the different educators and administrators we speak to, and students, of course, just to illustrate the different ways in which instructors can use Labster, because they can be very, very different. So let's start with our chemistry professor here. We have Professor Curie. She is a professor of general chemistry, organic chemistry, analytical chemistry. And this is someone who adores the wet lab, of course. It's absolutely essential to the experience of learning chemistry, of training potentially future chemists in some cases. And that's really, really critical to these courses that she teaches. But she uses Labster as something to improve students' preparation for the lab, to help them understand the different techniques, the different equipment that they're working with, and to even use things like lab manuals and assessments to drill home some of these lessons so that when they do get there in that limited amount of time, that limited space that you have in the physical lab, they can make the most of it. So that's one approach. But here, Dr. Mcclintock, who teaches anatomy and physiology and perhaps some biology courses as well, is trying to navigate this new world of perhaps having some online students, having a hybrid environment in some cases. How can she augment the theory material? How can she improve the lecture on top of maybe a few videos and textbooks and some lecture slides and perhaps some 3D visual models of anatomy? What else can we show? What else can we do? How can we make some of these topics stick for students and perhaps connect those physical anatomical models to what's happening down at the molecular level, right? So that's one of the challenges that she may be facing. And so that's using Labster in a different way, perhaps. It's using it more as a classroom supplement, not so much as an attachment to a physical wet lab. And in some cases, maybe a replacement for it, especially in an online environment. And then we have our friend here, Mr. Lyell, making earth science interactive. How can we do more active learning in the topic of earth science? He teaches physics and earth science at the high school level and is trying to reach students who seem a little bit disengaged. They still are not quite over the kind of COVID fatigue, wearing masks in school all the time, and just in general, trying to help them understand these concepts. There are videos, there's all sorts of great free materials that he's able to use, but what else can we do to engage students, to light them up, to kind of light that flame of curiosity and excitement about science? Not just those students who may dream of going on someday to win a Nobel Prize in 10 or 20 or 50 years, but all their classmates as well, right? How do we raise financial literacy amongst these students? How do we make them care about it, get them excited, have the light bulb go off in their minds a little bit about a particular topic or an idea that they really struggled with, so they don't give up in the way that a lot of us, speaking for myself, gave up on STEM because it was too hard, because it seemed like it wasn't for me. And this is so much more true of people who perhaps have other structural disadvantages when it comes to this subject matter. So these are our fun little composites of the hundreds of faculty that we talk to every few months. So what is Labster trying to do at a high level? When we say the new Labster, what are we trying to change about our platform, our simulations? The first is to create a much more complete and flexible solution for your course. So in this case, I think of it as depth. We want to have more topics that fit into your syllabus and more different types of simulations, videos, supplements, lab reports, lab manuals, different types of materials that you might be able to mix and match, because the way that teacher A approaches a certain course or topic could be completely different than teacher B, even if they're different sections of the same course at the same university or school. So this is part of what we're trying to do, create a flexible and complete solution for your course where you can log in and everything is there. It's the supermarket or the mall of content when it comes to interactive science learning. And then on the other hand, we want to make Labster easier to use. We want to remove the barriers. We want to be able to save you time, save faculty members time. Students shouldn't be confused about where to log in or how to find their grades or where to get access. So we're redesigning many of our platforms, essentially all of them, or we have in 2021, to try to make this a little bit easier. And then also trying to expand access as much as we can. This might be translations, accessibility, but we want to take this core lab experience, this great science learning experience, and open it up. Take something that might be exclusive and make it inclusive, to sort of stretch it around as much of the world as we possibly can, because that's the point of virtual labs, is making something accessible that perhaps was not before. So in the past year, Labster has released 74 new virtual lab simulations. You can see the listing on the right-hand side of the kind of the primary topic areas that these were released in. But this doesn't tell the whole story, of course, because many of the simulations in chemistry or biology or even organic chemistry cross paths. So you'll find that the course packages in the Labster website will describe in much more accurately what is available in these different areas. So this brings us up to over 230 virtual lab simulations. Some of them longer and more complex and complete, others much shorter, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But we're very excited in 2022 to be moving into some new areas. So the first is earth science at the high school level, and doing more of the physics side as well when it comes to high school level simulations. Anatomy and physiology has been something that people have been waiting for a long time, and also looking at some exciting developments in nursing, analytical chemistry, maybe inorganic chemistry as well. And then we see here our Professor Curie has been adding some of the new organic chemistry simulations to her syllabus. That's a great example of give and take between us and you all, because some of the feedback that we received in the early days of having organic chemistry was, these are very concept focused, but we need more technique-based simulations to really put students in the lab experience, help them understand how to do X or Y. So that has been a big part of what Labster has been releasing on the organic chemistry front in the past year or so. Short simulations. So many of you have perhaps seen these or tried them out a little bit. Labster has gone in the past 12 months from 0 to 60 short and adapted simulations. These are often adapted from some of Labster's larger, more complex simulations, and they focus on a particular technique or topic, and it allows you to mix and match things a little bit more. You don't need to cover the entire experience, but you can just have students play a 15-minute experience. I heard some very positive feedback earlier today from some of the panelists. Their students enjoying those a lot, and of course they're a little bit shorter, so perhaps that's part of it, but just making it a little bit easier to mix and match and customize whatever your syllabus is to your students' needs. And we've seen this across the board in all sorts of different subject areas, but in particular, I mentioned anatomy and physiology. We'll talk about that in a moment. We are planning to design these simulations a little bit more compressed than we have perhaps some of the ones in the past. Earth science. Very, very excited to have rolled out the first earth science simulations in the past few months at the high school side. We're also planning to do a lot more on the physics front in 2022. This is by popular, maybe very popular demand from some of our schools that are using Labster. So we're excited to add this to what we already have on offer in biology and in chemistry and in physics to some degree, adding earth science in there. And again, especially, I think at the high school level, these short simulations, being able to mix and match these with some of the supplements we'll talk about in a moment, seems to be going extremely well and something that people have had success with. And then anatomy and physiology. Stay tuned for this in spring 2022. We have one simulation that we're planning for right after the new year, but many more about mid-spring and a little bit later in late spring and early summer. These are some of the topic areas that we expect the simulations in. We already have about 10 or 11 simulations that cover some probably core topics in an A&P 1 course at the university or community college level, covering some key topics, especially biology adjacent type topics. So we encourage you to take a look at the course package in anatomy and physiology, but a lot more coming on this front in 2022. And then nursing education. I won't go into this because we got a great review earlier today from our new colleagues at UBUSIM. We have a partnership now with UBUSIM, and we're very, very excited to be rolling out this really the premier virtual reality nursing education solution in the market today. This transforms what you're able to do in nursing programs. It's an organization that is solely focused on nursing, not a giant company with 100 different types of VR training, but a company that is dedicated to future nurses and training them for their exams and everything that they'll be needing to do in the actual real world. And if you can imagine some of the challenges that the folks in the nursing world are facing with a lack of clinicals and a long list of others, this is a really exciting development, I think, for us from the Labster side. So please reach out to our friends at UBUSIM, and you'll be hearing more about them in the coming months. Now, let's talk a little bit about the supplements that we have been rolling out in recent months. Some of you may have heard about these already, but we want to talk about manuals first, lab manuals. So these, we now have a lab manual for every simulation at Labster. They include a synopsis, learning objectives, lab techniques, as well as kind of key theory material and illustrations. And what we're seeing is a lot of different instructors maybe assigning these beforehand, or for students to have alongside them when they're kind of walking through the virtual labs, or even as a reflection exercise, a review or a reminder after the fact. So this is something that you're able to download, customize as you like, because it's available in Google Docs. And yes, so hopefully something that is it's on the list to be improved even more in the future, but what we're finding is a very positive reaction to these, just to bolster a little bit what we're able to do with the labs. Similarly, if you haven't heard of this, don't worry, but the theory pages that Labster has available, if you think about Labster simulation and the different tabs that are available in our lab pad, there is key theory material that students are able to walk through. This is all also available as standalone web page content, almost a mini digital textbook chapter available for every single virtual lab. So you have access to this through the Labster portal, and what you're able to do is just open up that link, review it yourself, and even share that link so that students can take a look at some of this content. So this is yet another resource, yet another way that you can scaffold materials around a Labster simulation to make it a little bit of a richer experience, and hopefully help you make the most out of what you have. Videos. Labster has a large number of great 3D animations that especially with difficult concepts, help visualize them, help bring them to life, explain what's going on a little bit better. This is something that we've seen teachers like Dr. Mcclintock here assign just as standalone videos. It's just a YouTube link. So you can assign the link, you can put it in homework materials, play it in front of the class, put it in a presentation deck, add it as part of an exam if you like. Really, in any way that you want to use this, you have access to about close to 60 different videos across a variety of different topics, and this list will keep growing over time too. Image library, okay. And so again, similarly, within Labster simulations, we have thousands of images, charts, different visualizations that you might find within the lab itself, different scientific concepts brought to life visually. So this is something that we've seen certain teachers perhaps download the image. It's a PNG or a JPEG file, I think, and just put it right in a Google Doc, right into an assignment, right into a PowerPoint presentation. If it's helpful for students to review it, they get the ideas reinforced because they're seeing the image again and again. So again, opening up the labs a little bit to make things more available. Finally, lab report templates is something that you can download and simply customize to fit your need. And then quiz questions, again, are something that we've seen a lot of educators actually download, grab the quiz questions themselves and repurpose or reuse them a little bit later on in final exams or unit midterms. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the faculty experience itself. So what we're trying to do here, I'm going to play a short video to give you a bit of a preview of a portion of the new student educator catalog. So please bear with me just to break this up a little bit.
Welcome to Labster's Catalog. Catalog is your one-stop shop for all of Labster's content. You can explore our one-of-a-kind virtual lab simulations and all our supplementary content in one place. Now, searching for the right content is easier than ever. Our library of over 200+ simulations ensures you find the right content for your course and your students' needs. When you log in, you will see a search bar at the top where you can search for simulations by entering a topic or keyword. If you are just beginning to search, choose to browse our course packages, which are collections of simulations grouped together by a unifying course theme. Take advantage of advanced filters and search capabilities to make the most of a catalog. As a reminder, accessibility mode allows students with visual and hearing impairments to play our simulations with screen readers, keyboard navigation, text size control, and adjust for color blindness. And I'll editorialize here a bit. The same interface that you're seeing here that instructors have access to will be what we're going to show in a few minutes about our new LMS integration options. So just keeping that in mind, a new platform for those that get access to Labster directly from our website, and for those that move through Canvas, Moodle, Blackboard, whatever your LMS may be. Simulations are at the core of Labster's content, and we also offer a variety of supplemental resources to support teachers in their classrooms. Each simulation pairs with a detailed lab manual, theory page, related quiz questions, and a lab report template. In addition, a science image library of over 1,000 downloadable science images and a collection of 3D science animation videos are available. We invite you to explore Labster's catalog so that you
All right. And then when I talk about the new student and educator platform, it's not just the ability to review that library of content, of course. It's what we call our new course manager, where you can manage your courses, assign simulations. There are new features like setting dates where a simulation will appear so you can schedule them in advance, set attempt limits where you only grade a certain number of student attempts to the simulation, download results, track student progress, everything in one place, just to centralize it more and have a much, hopefully, better interface that we're planning to continue to improve over the coming months. This is just early days right now. And then coming soon, not quite yet, but really in the next few months, we'll be rolling out a brand new way for Labster to integrate with your learning management system, especially those that have Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard, and access Labster through one of those. We'll be beginning really in November and December of 2021, just to make this a little bit of a smoother experience as we move through it. I can show you a quick visual here of my colleague, Sasha Mathrani, talking us through.
Welcome to Labster's new experience for educators and students accessing Labster through their Learning Management System, or LMS. Some LMSs include Blackboard, Moodle, and Canvas. Now, you don't have to leave your LMS to access Labster's content. Gone are the days of creating common cartridge packages from the faculty resource page. Instead, you have a pop-up right within your Learning Management System where you can search for simulations, filter by topic, education level, or language, and you can access our science image library and 3D chemistry visualizations right from within this pop-up. If you want to learn more about a simulation, you can click on it to access its lab report, lab manual, theory page, and quiz questions, to watch its screencast, and when you decide to assign a simulation to your students, you can just click Add, and it will directly be added to your LMS course. And what's better than ever is our new and improved Labster Dashboard. You can access the dashboard through a link where you can see your students' progress in real time. You can see how they're responding to questions on different simulations. You can track their progress and score, how long they've spent on simulations, and you can see how many tries it took for them to get the right answer. And as always, these grades sync back to your LMS gradebook. So all of the incredible things that you're used to with a Labster LMS integration are still available with a new and improved interface and a seamless experience. Enjoy Labster's new LMS integration.
So please stay tuned for this over the next 6 to 8 months, depending on which LMS you use, if that's how you integrate with Labster. But we're very excited to have you never have to leave your home system, so to speak. We have a new help center at Labster, which we're finding students are, with fewer clicks, finding the answers they need and rating support a little bit higher certainly than it has been in the past. You see Mr. Lyell here in the corner, just very thankful that students don't always have to come to him with every single technical question. So our support team is 7 days a week, available at least 20 hours a day in most cases. So hopefully this is something that really is improving students' ability to get answers to any questions that they might have. New opportunities for training, professional development, we've spoken about in past webinars, but especially at the high school level, we partner with a great organization called Better Lesson that is providing opportunities for formal training for teachers, professional development sessions for science teachers at schools, at high schools especially, at least throughout North America. And there are opportunities elsewhere, of course. And on the Labster website, we are continuing to roll out more case studies, webinar recordings, guides, best practice articles to try to give you some more information about how do I use this thing? You know, am I a Professor Curie, or am I a Dr. Mcclintock or a Mr. Lyell in terms of the way that I use Labster? Am I focused on the lab experience? Is it an online tool? Is it something more of a supplement that I mix and match different materials? So really, whichever way in which you're teaching, Labster can be bent and moved around to fit that mold. And then finally, you saw a bit in that video, there's a new Labster Dashboard that's available in our new student educator platform for those that go directly through Labster. Very soon, this will be coming for learning management system users as well. But it has a new view, for instance, where you can look at grades and student progress and results, either by student or by simulation. And if you look at the example here with Dr. Mcclintock, if you look by simulation, you get a little bit of a sense of where are people struggling? You know, where is the class struggling a little bit, and which simulations have they started versus they're waiting until the last minute perhaps to complete the assignment, which I'm sure never happens for anyone here. And then let's talk a little bit about expanding access. Again, as I said in the beginning, this is the reason we exist. Labster cannot fulfill our mission if students aren't getting access to virtual labs. That's really what we're here to do, is take something that is not available for a lot of people in the world based on perhaps where you live, or if you're coming from an under-resourced community, maybe you're a parent that is trying to learn STEM topics from home, caring for a small child. Are those people allowed to study chemistry? Or is it just a prototypical scientist that we want to cater to? I think what we're trying to do is open things up with a solution that hopefully allows for better hybrid opportunities, both in person and online. So on the translation front, we have translated by the end of this year, over 100 simulations in Spanish, French, Italian, and German. And then of course in English, we have over 200 right now. We may be looking at other languages in the future, but expect more for these 4 additional languages in the coming months. And what we'll be doing next is in early 2022, moving on to some of the interfaces and some of the perhaps lab supplements in certain cases, getting those translated as well, so they can be used in these many places in the world where these languages are spoken. And again, in the future, our vision for Labster is absolutely to continue growing that list of languages so we can make it accessible to everyone on this little blue map that we see here. Accessibility is something we've talked a lot about in the past, but Labster has made a lot of progress on kind of redesigning our simulations to make them fully accessible for students that maybe have vision impairment or hearing impairment or something else. So you can even search and filter in our new platform for accessibility mode of students that want to access it, you know, with a keyboard navigation, screen reader, and text resizing and other tools like that from within the simulation. So hoping to continue to make a lot more progress on this front. Devices, we'll be looking at iPads, especially for the high school level in 2022. So please stay tuned. I know that this is certainly high on a lot of people's request list, and it's complex developing tools like Labster for different types of devices, but is absolutely on our roadmap. So please stay tuned a little bit later in the coming year. And then I just wanted to mention again, when we talk about STEM equity, when we talk about making Labster more accessible to more people, this is something that we've really tried to change the way or update the way that we build simulations in recent years. You know, from hand color randomization in the simulations. I'm not sure if people realize that every time you log in, the sort of the hand color may change of your avatar, to just having different characters, different scientist characters in the simulations themselves, to the language that goes into building the simulations, or the way that quiz questions are written for neurodiverse users, or avoiding trigger words, or whatever else it may be. So this is something that is baked into the design manual, trying to include some of the principles of universal design or inclusive design when we actually build these learning tools. So this is a quick summary, at least on the content front of what has come out in the last year or so. We mentioned some of the big projects for 2022, new content, things in new areas. And what we're really trying to do, as I said, is create a holistic solution. Yes, make it more accessible to more people around the world and in different types of environments, different places. But we want to help you on the syllabus planning front and introducing the simulations to students and these topics to students. We want Labster theory pages and lab manuals and simulations themselves and videos to be helping you teach theory and basic concepts, even if you have no interest in a lab at all. Interactive exercises is something that people want to do in many cases for its own right, just gamifying learning a little bit. Perhaps you do have a wet lab and you want to prepare students for that lab a little bit better so you don't spend as much time explaining everything in the beginning and you can actually take advantage of that time. Or you want to pair it with actual lab work. So an in-person lab and a virtual lab married together. You heard perhaps some examples today of people using them in different ways here. Some people do use Labster for assessment, right? It is more of a formative assessment, absolutely, as people go through it, but that's why we're also making quiz question documents and additional quiz banks available so that you can grab some of these evaluations and assign them in different ways. And the same is true of lab reports and different ways that you can bring some of these ideas back around later on through videos, through repetitive plays of the simulations, through our theory pages or lab manuals or whatever else. So we're going to continue to innovate and create more of these new diverse types of learning materials. And hopefully this is something that you can help us improve on in the future as we try to create something that is a little bit more suited to this new world that we're all living in. So thank you very much. Please stay tuned. I believe just after this, we have, here are our three teachers in the 3 different ways they teach Labster. We have a screening coming up for the Picture a Scientist film, in case you missed it earlier today, if you take a look at the Science Online Connected agenda. So thank you so much to everyone and have a good night, morning or afternoon. Bye-bye.